Hey there, how there, ho there, Jeff Cutter, welcome you to yet another Above the Rim basketball video to do with the Spirit of 76 play. And Above the Rim basketball, well, there's a there's a PC version kind of with Microsoft, um, what do you call it, Excel and all that. But nevertheless, Above the Rim basketball is only for college basketball for the PC, not pro basketball. I'd be buying seasons left, right, and center on this one. Anyhow, as you can see, I'm setting up the 75, 76, and 76, 77 tourney. All these teams, except for Michigan State, I put Michigan State in because, Irvin Magic Johnson and all that. I want to see how good Magic Johnson and his crew can go. Although I could give like a team like a 74, 75 team, like a small team like Detroit Mercy or Arizona State getting a chance and all that. But anyway, so the Spirit of 76, of course, is that big thing that a lot of people are doing about 1976 and sports and all that, and playing tabletop games, or in my case, PC games and all that. I've done golf, a golf tournament. I've done tennis. I've done a ton about boxing and all that. Football will be coming up shortly once I finish the decades tournaments for NCAA, like the whole decades thing. I want to get that done first before I set to 1976. It'll be a 16-team tournament for the 1976 college football and NFL campaign and all that. So we got that going. Baseball 76, Spirit 76 for baseball, for PC Replay Baseball. That will be coming up shortly, I think. I want to get a few things. I want to get a few things done first. I want to get kind of my 32 season thing set up for that PC Replay 128 team tournament and all that. And then I'll probably just do 1976 in that theory and do a tournament. So anyway, that is what's gonna happen. But of course, with college basketball, you buy these sets and all that, like for like teams and all that. Kind of give you a thing. These are the season sets I have, like from 51 to 64, all the teams from there, 65 to 69, 70 to 74 onwards. So pretty much I have almost every year except for a few in the 20th century and all that. Not much after the 20th century. But yeah, these guys, every once, well, because at first everyone said, well, the Spirit of 76, so basketball would be 76, 77, and hockey and all that. But then they changed the rules to 75, 76 because that was set in 1976. Some people were kind of complaining. Anyhow, not me, but so we have 32 teams. We're going to do a 32 team tournament. If any game, so we're going to create the tournament and we're going to do best of sevens every time. If we do have a game 7, we will be broadcasting this. We're going to load it. It was all randomization, no seeding or anything. So we're going to go random, I think. Our first one will be, wow, you got Marquette, 76 Marquette against 76 Indiana. You got two very good schools. 76 Marquette is not the school that won the national title. That's the 77 Marquette team that is later on. And 75, 76 Indiana, yes, that team did win the national championship. And yes, that team is the last team to finish a regular season undefeated. 75, 76 team. Looking at the roster, you have Kent Benson, Scott May, Tom Abernathy, Bobby Wilkerson, and Quinn Buckner. Quinn Buckner, I think CBS guy. Kent Benson tried to get in the NBA with the Pacers, was not really that much. The Bucks, Scott May, well, his son Sean May. Wayne Radford, Jim Wiseman, Jim Cruz, Rich Fernandez, Bob Bender, who was a youngster, and Mark Haymore. 76 Marquette, their roster. Jerome Whitehead, Bo Ellis, Earl Tatum, Butch Lee, who would actually be a star guard for Puerto Rico in the Olympics in Montreal. Of course, back in 1976, the Olympics were in Montreal, and yes, men's basketball was around. You had to be an amateur. You couldn't be a professional. Not until 1992. Lloyd Walton there. Bernard Toon, Gary Rosenberger, Elise Payne, Bill Neary, Craig Butcher, and Barry Brennan. So we'll auto play. Game one sees Indiana win 82-72. 29 from May, 20 from Benson, 23 from Tatum for Marquette. Personal fouls, well, Butchley had 4. Game two sees Indiana win again 80-73. 24 from May, 17 each from Tatum and Butch Lee. And nobody had 5 fouls. That's good. Game three goes to Indiana 89-61. 20 points from Tatum from Marquette, 31 from Scott May. 2 foul outs. Bo Ellis and Tatum fouled out with 5. Payne had 23 minutes of play but had 4 fouls. In college, you get disqualified after 5 fouls, not 6. Game 4 sees Indiana win 65-63. It was a close one. 16 from Lee, but 18 from Benson. May only got 6 points, which was unusual. But yeah, Tatum fouled out again. So Indiana sweeps Marquette 4 straight. Next, we head to 76 Maryland and 77 Utah. 77 Utah, their roster. Buster Maffini, Greg Dean, Jeff Judkins, Earl Williams, and Jeff Jonas. Not part of the Jonas brothers. Donnie Rice, Mike Dunn, Kobe Leavitt, Pat McKenna, Michael Gray, and Brad Smith. The 76 Maryland squad. Larry Gibson, Steve Shepard, Mo Howard, John Lucas, who was a decent player, Brad Davis, Lawrence Boston, James Tillman, Chris Patton, Brian McGidd, John Newsom, and Eric Schreider. Game 1 sees Maryland went on home turf 87-77, 22 from Shepard, 19 from Howard, 21 from Judkins for Utah by 5 fouls, Maffini with 5 fouls, Gibson with 5 fouls. So 3 players were kicked out. Game 2 sees Maryland crush Utah 172, 17 from Dean, 17 from Mahaney, and 31 from Shepard. Lucas with 16, so good old Shepard. 2-0. And game 3 sees Utah win 94-83, so we will see lose at game 5. 20 from Shepard, 37 from Judkins, 20 from Matheny. Foul out on Maryland, John Lucas. Game 4 sees Maryland win 103-92. 25. They only used 8 players, whereas Utah used 11 players. 28 from Judkins, 23 from Dean, 25 from Lucas, 22 from Shepard. Lucas fouled out with 5 personal fouls. 3 Utah players were close to fouling out, but they didn't. And then Maryland won game 5, 101-98. 25 from Judkins, 21 off the bench from Rice. 5 fouls by Williams. All the starters except for Jonas actually had 4 or more fouls. That's how bad Utah's discipline was. And 76 Maryland will move on. Next up, we have 77 San Francisco and 77 Arizona. 77 San Francisco. Bill Cartwright, future player for the Chicago Bulls, winning 3 titles. Was it 3 titles with the Bulls? 91, 92, 93. James Hardy, Marlon Redmond, Winfred Boyds, and Chubby Cox. What a name. Rod Williams. Was that Hard Rod Williams? I don't know. Jeff Randall, Ellen Thompson, Ray Hamilton, Eric Gilbert, and Sam Williams will do the job. Arizona. Third guys, Bob Elliott, Phil Taylor, Len Gordy, Herman Harris, Gary Harrelson. Man, they had 15 guys. Kenny Davis, Jerome Gladley, Gilbert Miles, Tim Marshall, Larry Demick, Brian Jones, Tommy Williams, Mitch Jones, Tom Ayla, and Joe Niels. So 15 guys. They really carried a lot of people. Game 1 sees Arizona win 83-81. They used 13 players. Well, 23 points from Harris, 19 from Taylor, 22 from Boynes for San Francisco. Cartwright had 16, and nobody got 5 fouls. Okay. Game 2 sees San Francisco Umper Lagacian win 105-97 to tie the series and all that. 2 players fouled out, Taylor and Harris for Arizona, which kind of made the difference. Game 3 sees Arizona win on San Francisco turf 90-80, 22 from Elliott, 22 from Harrison, 23 from Redmond for San Francisco. San Francisco wins 99-81. It's 2-2 now. Foul out by Demich. 22 minutes of play off the bench. He had 5 fouls, 11 points. 28 points from Elliott, 28 from Boynes. Arizona nips San Francisco 95-94. 24 from Cartwright, 20 from Redmond, 20 from Boynes, 20 from Harris. So, yeah, play-by-play. Boyens made a 2-pointer, but that was TLTL. Too little, too late. Game 6 sees San Francisco win 99-97, 20 from Harris, 19 from Miles, 18 from Glandy off the bench, 21 from Williams off the bench. Cartwright and Boyens were booted. 5 fouls. Brendel had 5 fouls. And no one from Arizona. So Arizona and San Francisco will have to go to game 7. Next up, 76 UNLV against 77 Michigan. UNLV 29-2, the first great LV team. Jackie Robinson, not that Jackie Robinson. Glenn Grosniak, Boyd Batts, Eddie Owens, and Robert Smith. Sam Smith, not that Sam Smith. Louis Brown, Reggie Theus, who would soon become a star for the Denver Nuggets and part of Hang Time, that NBC Saturday morning thing alongside City Guy, Saved by the Bell, the new class, and One World, I think it was. Don Reimer, Mike Milk, and Matt Porter also there. For Michigan, 77 Michigan, we have Phil Hubbard. Oh, Phil Hubbard went to the cupboard. John Robinson, Tom Staden, Steve Grote, Ricky Green. I think he played in the NBA. Dave Baxter, Joe Thompson, Alan Hardy, Tom Bergen, Mark Luzier, and Len Lilliard. Game 1 sees UNLV beat Michigan 196. 29 from Owens, 31 from Hubbard, and 27 for Green. For Michigan, 5 fouls for Owens. And that game 2 sees LV win again, 115-90. 22 from Robinson, 20 from Owens, 20 from Smith off the bench. Everyone in the starters except for Smith for UNLV had 4 fouls, but no foul outs. 33 from Ricky Green, 23 from Hubbard. Game 3 sees LV win 95-88. 23 from Hubbards and 30 points from Grozniak. Brown, 10 minutes off the bench, 5 fouls, leave Fay. And LV wins 90-80. 30 from Ricky Green, 20 from Robinson. Lots of people with fouls, lots of fouls. So UNLV sweeps Michigan. We'll go to 76 Notre Dame and 76 North Carolina. 76 Notre Dame with Dave Batten, Bruce Flowers, the future Jazz and Detroit Piston and Dallas Maverick, Adrian Dantley. Doug Williams, what a name. Ray Martin. Bill Paterno, I don't think he's related to Joe. Toby Knight, I don't think he's related to Bobby Knight. Bernard Rencher, Jeff Carpenter, Bill Lambier as a youngster. I think he was like a junior that year. Yeah, he was one of the bad boys for Detroit. And Dave Kutzmitz for 76 North Carolina, 25-4. Mitch Kupchak, who would become a good head coach of his own. Tom Lagarde, Walter Davis, I think he played for the Knicks. Tom Kust, John Custer, Phil Ford. I think he was a top player, if you will. Bruce Buckley, Dudley Bradley, Dave Hanners, Tom Salegras, Bill Chambers, and Jeff Crompton. Game 1 sees North Carolina win 90-71, 20 from Dantley, by 26 from Ford, 21 from Kupchak. 5 fouls by Koister for North Carolina, which sucked because he was out of the game early. Game 2 sees North Carolina do the same thing by 21, 26 from Dantley, 25 from Ford, and 22 from Davis. The guard had 9. 5 fouls from Toby Knight in 20 minutes of play off the bench, 14 points. So, hey, Chris. Hey, Chris. 3-3 tie. Notre Dame wins 89-84. 18 from Lagarde, 12 from Kupchak, 22 from Dantley, Flowers with 11. And nobody there. North Carolina beat Notre Dame 91-83 to go up 3-1. Every starter had 13 points, 21 from Walter, 16 from Dantley. 3 fouls. Game 5 sees Notre Dame pull off 95-92, 28 from Dantley, 36 from Ford, 21 from Lagarde. 5 fouls for Buckley in 25 minutes, 5 fouls from Kupchak in 15 minutes. And North Carolina wins Game 6 in Notre Dame, 28 from Lagarde, 20 from Ford. Doing their job, 5 fouls from Paterno and North Carolina Kaji. Next up, 77 Bama, 76 Michigan. 77 Bama, 25-6. Ricky Brown, Reggie King, T.R. Dunn. What a name. Roderick Scott and Anthony Murray. Kent Looney, Don Bowerman, Keith McCord, Tommy Bonds, Chris Bragwell, and Robert Chapman are your other guys. For 76 Michigan, I think they were the runners up, weren't they? I don't remember. Phil Hubbard on that team with John Robinson, Raymond Britt, Steve Grote, Ricky Green, Dave Baxter, Joe Thompson, Alan Hardy, Tom Bergen, Tom Staden, and Lauren Schreiner. Now, we saw Michigan get swept. That one. Michigan beats Bama 102-93, 26 from King, 26 from Ricky Green. Every starter of Michigan had 4 fouls, or in Grote's case, 5. Bergen had 5 fouls. They had 30 personal fouls. 7 of the 10 players actually had 4 fouls or more, and the other 3 had 0. Brown for Bama had 5 fouls. Overtime heroics, Michigan over Bama. Bama saw Brown and Scott get the boot and 5 fouls from Britt. 22 from Ricky Green, 24 from Dunn. Game 3 sees Michigan go to Bama 103-91, 33 from Green, 19 points in 17 minutes from Bergen. But he got 5 fouls. Every Michigan starter except for Robinson had 4 fouls. 5 fouls from Dunn, 5 fouls from Bragwell. 15 points from Bowerman off the bench. Game 4, Michigan couldn't believe it. They couldn't score points when they needed to. Game 5, Michigan wins 97-86. Home sweet home. 22 from Brown, 20 from King for Bama, and 24 from Green, 21 from Robinson. Now you got 76 Kentucky versus 77 Louisville. 76 Kentucky, 10 losses. Surprise. Mike Phillips, James Lee, Jack Gibbons, who 2 years later would be the MVP. Larry Johnson, Reggie Warford, Truman Claytor, Rick Roby, who would be a star 2 years later, Merlin Hoskins, Bob Fowler, Dwayne Casey. Yes, that Dwayne Casey, former Toronto Raptors icon, the coach. And 77 Louisville, who was 21-7. Ricky Gallen, Larry Williams, Wes Cox, Rick Wilson, Philip Bond, Dr. Duncanstein, Daryl Griffith in the early years of his career, Bobby Turner, Tony Branch, David Smith, Steve Clinton, and Danny Mann, and Jeff Diamond. First game sees Kentucky lose 90-73. 21 from Phillips, 23 from Cox, and 22 from Dr. Duncanstein. Kentucky losing Louisville 98-86. 22 from Phillips, 22 from Wilson, and 21 from Cox. 5 fouls from Bond. 5 fouls from Gibbons. Louisville is now 3-0. 23 from Gibbons. Louisville had some players. Game 4, Kentucky wins 84-67. 18 from Gallen, 14 from Dr. Duncanstein, and 32 from Jack Gibbons. Kentucky wins 98-94. 27 from Gibbons, 16 from Phillips, 28 from Cox. Williams with 5 fouls, Bonds with 5 fouls. Game 6, Louisville survives 90-79, so they're in. 19 from Williams, 24 from Gibbons. Great job. So that's that. Next up, we have 76 Tennessee versus 77 Clemson. For Tennessee, 21-6. Doug Ashford, Bernard King, Ernie Grunfeld, teammates part of that 30 for 30 special belt. The Tennessee Volunteers, you know that. Mike Jackson, Johnny Darden, Austin Clark, Terry Crosby, Irv Chapman, Bob Bakowski, and Jerry Feinstone. Yeah, Bernard King, New York Knicks icon. 77 Clemson. Tree Rollins, yep, he was big in the 80s and 90s. David Brown, Stan Rome, John Franklin, and Derek Johnson. Colin Abraham, Greg Coles, Bobby Conrad, Harvin Dickerson, and Jimmy Howe. Chubby Wells, Randy Gray, Al Hoover, Lee Anderson, and David Poole are your other guys. Game 1 sees Clemson win 94-76. 28 from Grunfeld, 22 from King, but they just can't be a whole team. Clemson, nobody had more than 16 points. They were just what they call team scoring. Game 2 sees Clemson do it again. 27 from Jackson, 26 from Grunfeld, 23 from King. Only 12 points by other players. 27 from Tree Rollins. So 5 fouls from King, 5 fouls from Darden. Now hurt every freaking time. Game 3 sees Tennessee win 81-77 on home turf. 25 from Grenfell, 19 from Bernard King, but King fouled out. 17 from Rome. Tennessee wins again 96-95, a close one. They were down by 9 at halftime. 22 from Rome, 5 fouls for Abraham, 25 from Grenfell, 20 from Bernard. Game 5 sees Clemson win 86-66. King and Grenfell combined for 50 points, but that's definitely not enough. Team scoring. Yeah, King fouled out with 5. Game 6 sees Clemson win the tournament matchup 93-76, 20 from Brown, 17 from Dickerson. Tennessee 27 from King, 16 from Grunfeld. So yeah, Clemson moves on. 76 Bama takes on 77 North Carolina in the next one. 23-5 the 76 team. Leon Douglas, Ricky Brown, Reggie King, T.R. Dunn, Tony Murray, Keith McCord, Greg McElveen, Don Bowerman, Clevie Parker, Tommy Bonds, and Radby Chapman. For North Carolina, the 77 squad, 28-5. Tommy Lagarde, Michael Corrin, Walter Davis on the team, Tom Christopher, Phil Ford. Tom Zaragoza, Bruce Buckley, Rich Yanakor, Steve Krasinski, Dudley Bradley, who once was the most unlikely three-point shooting, three-point winner in NBA history, doing that against the Sixers in 1986. And North Carolina won 79-68. 29 from Phil Ford, 18 from Douglas for Alabama. 5 fouls from King. North Carolina crushing at 91-55, 20 from Douglas, 24 from Lagarde, 22 from Ford. 5 fouls from Coister in 22 minutes. And 5 fouls from Brown. Game 3 sees North Carolina win in overtime. One foul out, that was Bama's King. 28 from Douglas, 22 from O'Corin, 23 from Phil Ford. And North Carolina sweeps Bama 20-9 in overtime. 4 Bama players, Brown, Douglas Murray, and McElveen fouled out. O'Corin fouled out for North Carolina, but 25 from Lagarde, 41 from Douglas, although it was not enough. North Carolina sweeps Bama. Sweep the leg. 79 Michigan State against 77 Kansas State. We're just going to go quickly for this one. And Michigan State crushes 77 Kansas State, who are 23-8. Daryl Winston, Larry Dazzy, Curtis Redding, Mike Evans of South Landon, Keith Frazier, Tyrone Ladson, Dan Droge, Jerry Black, Dean Daner, and Steve Soldner were there. Yeah, I want to see if Michigan State could get there. Let's go to 77 Notre Dame, 77 UCLA. 77 Notre Dame, 22-7. Dave Baden, Toby Knight, Bruce Flowers, Duck Williams, and Rich Branding are your starters. Bill Paterno, Dave Hanslick, who went to the NBA for the Nuggets, I think. Jeff Carpenter, Dave Kuzmis, and Ray Martin, your bench. Randy Haithner, Bill Sums, Chris Fabian, Tim Healy. I guess Lambier was a senior. 77 LA, 24-5. Brett Froman, David Greenwood, Marquise Johnson, who was a Milwaukee icon, Roy Hamilton, and Jim Spillane. Your bench, Ray Townsend, Greg Geek Sims, Brad Holland, a young Kiki Vanderweg, who would do well for the Knicks and the Blazers, Wilbert Olinde, and James Wilkes, who would do well too. Jamal Wilkes' younger brother. Game 1 saw LA win 94-76, 23 from Marquise, 20 from Hamilton. 5 fouls from Branding for Notre Dame, and that's all. Notre Dame survives 86-85 in Game 2, 21 from Knight, 17 from Williams, 5 fouls from Flowers, 27 from Johnson, and 21 from Greenwood. Game 3 sees Notre Dame win 92-82, 15 from Hamilton, 24 from Baden. Game 4 sees LA win 88-86, 25 from Greenwood, 21 from Williams. Game 5 sees LA win 82-78. Has 5 fouls from Kumitz in 11 minutes. He becomes the first player to foul out. Marcus Johnson also fouls out with 5, 23 from Greenwood. So yeah, that's the first time someone fouled out in Game 5. Nice. Game 6 sees LA win 96-86. 30 from Marcus Johnson and 28 from Branning. And lost 5 fouls by Froman for LA, but they win over Notre Dame. And you got 77 Marquette, the national champs against 77 Kentucky. Marquette 25-7. Jerome Whitehead, Bo Ellis, Bill Neary, Butch Lee came out the Olympics. Performs Jimmy Boylan. Gary Rosenberger, Bernard Toon, Olis Payne, Jim Dudley, Rubber Bird, Greg Pandra, and Mark Lavin. 77 Kentucky, 26-4. Rick Roby, James Lee, Jack Givens, Jay Schindler, Larry Johnson. New starters Mike Phillips, Drew McClater, Ryan Haskins, Dwayne Casey, yes, not Dwayne Casey, LaFon Williams, and Tim Stevens. I think Dwayne Casey played for the 1978 team that won the national title. He did. Marquette losing 87-84, 18 from Whitehead to lead their team, 16 from Roby. Both teams doing what they call team scoring, and 5 fouls from Bo Ellis did not help matters from Marquette. Kentucky wins again, 93-70, 21 from Lee, 19 from Ellis, 21 from Roby for Kentucky. Number 3. And Marquette loses 88-78, 22 from Gibbons, 19 from Johnson, 22 from Lee, 20 from Ellis from Marquette. Tune 5,014 minutes. And Kentucky sweeps Marquette. 22 from Gibbons, 13 from Roby, 16 from Butch Lee. Defending champs are out. Okay, 77 UNLV versus 77 Charlotte. LV 29-3. This was a stronger team. Larry Moffitt, Glenn Groziak, Eddie Owens, Sam Smith, and Robert Smith. Richard Fias on the bench with Lewis Brown, Tony Smith, Mike Milk. What a name. Matt Porter, and Gary Wagner. For Charlotte, 28-5. Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, who played for the Celtics, among others. Lou Massey, Kevin King, Chad Kinch, and Melvin Watkins. Jeff Gruber, Mike Hester, Phil Scott, Ken Angel, Lee Whitfield, and Todd Crowley. Oh, that's Gruber, not Gruber. Frick. Game 1 sees LV win 110-92. 23 off the bench from Fias in 29 minutes. They should have put him in more often. 5 fouls from Massey, 5 fouls from Hester, while Massey only played 11 minutes. And with those fouls, 26 from Corporate. Game 2 sees Charlotte win 96-86. 21 from Owens, 20 from King. So anyway, that's it. 5 fouls from Smith. LV 106-77, 21 off the bench from Kinch, 26 from Owens. Game 4 sees LV crush it 110-75. Yeah, when UNLV scores 100 points, they win. 22 from Grozek, 20 from Smith. That's what you do. 5 fouls from Scott in 27 minutes, 50 points. Game 5 sees LV score again with 100 points, 105-91. Nobody scored more than 18 points. 7 guys with double digits. 27 from Cedric Cornbread Maxwell. 5 fouls from Brown. But yeah, UNLV, when they score 100 points, they're undefeated. And we're going to go quickly through 77 Houston, 77 Tennessee. 77 Houston, Mike Schultz, Charles Thompson, George Walker, Otis Birdsong, future Kansas City King, Ken Cioli, Cecile Rose, Mark Trammell, Alan Winder, Kenneth Williams, Cedric Fierce, Jeff Kelly, Darren Roper, Brian Gibson, and Jim Perry. Tennessee, 77 team. Yeah, King and Grenville there. Reggie Johnson, Mike Jackson, Johnny Darden, the starters. Terry Crosby, Chuck Fierce, Bert Bertelkamp, Jerry Feinstone, and Mike Stapleton. We have a time limit actually of 30 minutes. Tennessee beats Houston in game 6, 91-72. So 42 for Bernard King. He is an icon. And Houston would be years away from their best shot. UCLA 76 against 76 Rutgers. 31-2. Rutgers looked good. James Bailey, Hollis Copeland, Phil Sellers. I think he went to the NBA. Mike Demney and Ed Jordan. Abdel Anderson, Steve Hevley, Mike Kylan, Mark Pelko, and Jeff Kleinbaum, with Bruce Scherer and Stan Nance also there. 76 LA, 27-5, the year after they win the national title. Ralph Jollinger, Richard Washington, Marcus Johnson, Richard Buck, Ray Townsend, and Andrew McCarter. David Greenwood, Gavin Smith, Jim Spillane, Brad Holland, Wilbur Erland, and Brett Froman. And LA wins in 6, 102-96. 20 from Smith and 19 from Spillane off the bench. So LA wins. And one more tournament. 77 Detroit against 77 Minnesota. Detroit 25-4, led by Tyler, Ron Bostic, John Long. I think he played for the Pistons. Terry Durant, Aaron Boyd, Jeff Whitlow, Toronto Anderson, Wilbert McCormick, Keith Jackson, and Wilbur Ross, your bench. Dave Niles, Mike Robinson, Kevin Caseta, and Rich McDermott also playing. Minnesota, 24-3. Michael Thompson, who played for Portland and Denver. I think he's from the Bahamas. Kevin McHale, yes, that Kevin McHale, who 3 years later will be drafted from the Minnesota Golden Gophers by the Boston Celtics with the 3rd overall pick that they picked up from Golden State in exchange for the number 1 pick, which Golden State used on Joe Barry Carroll, aka Joe Barely Cares. Osborne Lockhart and Flip Saunders, future NBA head coach there. Dave Winey, Steve Langerville, Daryl Earl, Pat Fauci, Dan Smolsky, and Chris Weber. How are your things? And Minnesota sweeps Detroit 82-76. 30 from Thompson. McCallum at 16. Oh, yeah, in San Francisco, Arizona, Game 7. Yeah, we have a 30-minute time limit. Yep. Game 7 goes to San Francisco. So big win for San Francisco. They actually were down 1-0, 2-1, and 3-2, but they won Game 7 98-88. So this is our final 16. So you have 76 North Carolina against 77 Clemson, 77 Tennessee versus 77 Louisville, 76 UNLV versus 76 Michigan, 77 San Fran versus 76 Maryland, 76 Indiana versus 77 North Carolina. That'd be big. 77 UNLV, 77 Minnesota, 77 UCLA against 76 UCLA, and 77 Kentucky against Michigan State, the interlopers. We are going to simulate the 2 UCLAs because obviously we kind of have to. And all that. And we have to simulate this because of the whole fact that you have 2 against each other. And the 76 team won in 6 games. And 79 Michigan State not supposed to do well. Which they do. Well, good news. 77 Kentucky actually beats Michigan State. So you can't say that I'm cheating with Michigan State. They didn't make it to the quarterfinals, so it's up for grabs now. See? I knew. See? You'll be thinking, yeah, come on, Michigan State. Well, you got to wait till the end. But yeah, we'll worry about the other 6 at another time. I'm Jeff Diamond, and adieu.